Hey everybody, welcome to the DigiQuatics demo. I just wanted to extend a very warm welcome to you. Thank you very much for checking in and kind of taking maybe 20 or 30 minutes out of your day to really see what DigiQuatics is all about. I hope that I can give you a good background of what we're all about, not only from the software perspective, but also what we're like as a company and how we've been working with the aquatics industry for several years now. So basically, I am Josh. I am the co-founder and CEO of DigiQuatics. And the best ways that you can reach out to us are, of course, by email. We're really big into Instagram lately, so Instagram at DigiQuatics app. We're also on Twitter. Not as many people are on Twitter in the aquatics industry as you can expect, but we're also there as well. So who am I and how did I get started in this whole DigiQuatics thing? You've probably seen my face around before if you've been on social media, Instagram, Facebook, all over the place. And so a little bit of my background is that I worked for the city of Lakewood, which is just west of Denver for geography if you're trying to kind of figure out where that is. When I was 16 all the way until I started into college. And so I worked there in 2008 to 2012. Man, I can't believe it's been that long already. So I worked there for about 4.5 years. And in working there for the city, I worked at a couple indoor and a couple outdoor swimming pools. So I started as a lifeguard, ended up getting my WSI and teaching swim lessons, became a manager on duty, and eventually a deputy pool manager. So I've got a ton of experience working in this space, and that's kind of where the whole idea developed from with DigiQuatics. And if you check out the Our Story page on our website, you'll also hear a similar story from the other co-founder, Michael Pierce. So I won't bore you with the details. You can check it out on your own time. But basically, we've got a combined 12 years of experience working in the aquatics industry. We're very much integrated with the community, especially in Colorado, but also on the national level with AOAP and some of the other big organizations. So we really look forward to talking to you guys at the conferences and just seeing how we can further help improve the aquatics industry, leveraging mobile technology and software. So now, being the CEO and co-founder of DigiQuatics, which we like to call the all-in-one app for aquatics. So basically, we're bringing everything about running an aquatics facility all into one platform. Now, why DigiQuatics? There's a lot of different tools out there on the market lately. There's staff scheduling softwares, there's some apps to help you with chemical logs and such. But why DigiQuatics? So we've got about 4.5 years of experience working specifically with our software with organizations in the aquatics industry. So we've been around for a while. We're here to stay. We're now in 31 US states. I did this demo last February 2017. That number was 16. So I had to update that, which is really exciting. We're also now proud to say that we're in 3 countries as well. And we're working with aquatics professionals in many segments of the aquatics industry. So municipalities, pool management companies, collegiate, universities, high schools, private districts, so your parks and recreation districts, swim clubs, YMCAs, YWCAs. We're working with tons of different organizations, but the common theme is managing swimming pools, right? So we have a ton of experience in all of these different areas, some more than others. But if you have any questions or you want to talk to anybody who's been using DigiQuatics for several years now, feel free to reach out and we'd be happy to kind of tell you who we're working with and give you some references in your area. So, down to the basics, why did this whole thing come about? It all originates with basically a paper problem. So when I was creating staff schedules, when I was keeping track of the pool logs, everything was written on a piece of paper and put in a binder, probably never to be seen again. So there's a ton of paperwork that's required for a lot of really good reasons that we have to keep records for our pools. we have to communicate and document that we've been communicating certain problems and procedures and stuff around the facility. But ultimately, this kind of creates a headache for us, and it revolves around us just not having enough time. We're in a day and age where lifeguards and swim instructors and pool managers even are hard to come by. And keeping track of all of this paperwork and documentation and everything just is taking away from the amount of time that we have to spend with improving our staff and improving staff engagement and training opportunities, and spending time with our patrons and providing good customer service to them. So rather than chasing around a bunch of paperwork and binders and file cabinets, we are trying to free up your time so that you can focus on those things, rather than just chasing around papers. So old school tools don't really cut it anymore. There's really, what's different about DigiQuatics is that there are lots of software tools on the market for doing different things. So you might have a staff scheduling software, you might have a timekeeping software, you might have an app that will record chemical logs for you. But all of those work independently and none of them work together. So you're going to have to log into one system for this part and log into another system for this part. And there's no centralized system for keeping all of this stuff in one place. So you can easily access it. When your health department inspector shows up, you don't have all of these things at your fingertips. You're going to have to run around and look for them in different places. And ultimately what this means is that there's just a lack of integration between tools. None of them talk together, which is not helping the communication process, right? So at the end of the day, efficiently running your swimming pool comes down to communication. Communication between you and your other full-time professional staff. Communication between you and your part-time seasonal staff. So there's just not really one standard process for keeping track of all these things, which ultimately just means that there's not very much visibility into your operations, especially when you're managing multiple locations or multiple facilities. There's also just not a ton of accountability. I mean, when it comes down to like filling out reports, who knows when they were actually completed or if they were completed? The city that I worked at had multiple locations, and so if you wanted to make sure that things were getting done at one of the other rec centers, you physically had to drive there and open up the logbooks and actually, make sure that the checklists were getting done. It's just not very efficient, and especially when you're in the middle of summer. You've got swim lessons, you've got day camps and groups coming in, which I lifeguarded for all the time. I couldn't imagine being, a pool manager trying to just keep track of everything all, at one time when the craziness of summer is going on. And so at the end of the day, what this means is that we could be doing a better job with safety, and we could be doing a better job of risk management and providing a safe place for our patrons to come and spend time with their families. But we're spending so much time keeping track of the paperwork and emails and text messages and sticky notes and who knows what, that it's just taking away from us being more effective aquatics professionals. And so that's really what DigiQuatics is. This is a tool to help you become a better aquatics professional, be more efficient, save time, and get rid of unnecessary paperwork. Not all paperwork, unnecessary paperwork. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into the actual software itself. I'm going to try not to get too much into the details of how things specifically work, but give you a high enough level overview that you can really kind of understand what value there is in the software. And one thing that I want to say up front is, so everything is available online in mobile and desktop and tablet form. So you can use a smartphone, you can use a tablet. Basically, as long as it has internet, you can use DigiQuatics. And every employee has their own email and password that they log in with to DigiQuatics. So once you log in, now everything in DigiQuatics is very modular. So you might see some modules in here and you might say, well, we already have a timekeeping system that the rest of our city uses. We can't switch to DigiQuatics. That's okay. So you can actually just turn off those modules. You're not going to pay for them if you're not going to use them. So pretty much everything is modular. Turn it off if you don't want to use it. Turn it on if you want to use it. So as I kind of go through these, know that you can turn these off if you don't need them. So the dashboard. Basically, the dashboard is designed to give you a quick at-a-glance view of everything going on in your aquatics operation. So everything is also designed to be very dynamic in terms of the number of locations and facilities that you have. So if you have one seasonal facility, that's awesome. We have tons of customers that are just a seasonal year-round facility. Only open a couple months of the year. They're only paying for DigiQuatics during those months. They're still able to access everything in the off season. But a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm a really small operation." That's totally fine. We've got a solution for you. If you've got 80 locations, you're a big pool management company, and you're in multiple regions, and you've got tons of pools that you manage, you can set all of those up. You can assign staff to different locations, so you have kind of like a hierarchical, these staff only work at these locations, and then the supervisor can see everything. So everything is completely dynamic for whatever size operation you are. Now, everything that you need to see, quick at-a-glance, is here on the dashboard. So I can see I've got some open sub-requests, I've got some open ships, I have some open maintenance issues. This is kind of where you would go to kind of see like the health of what's going on today, what needs to be taken care of. So a little bit of the back end like setup in DigiQuatics. So you can set up all of your locations with an address, and what this is going to do is allow you to use the GPS timekeeping module if that's something that you want to use. For each of your locations, you can have as many pools as you want. So pool being an individual body of water for basically taking chemical readings. You can also set up as many slides as you want, and slides are used for the slide inspection checklist module. So you can see here that I've got several locations set up in my account here, some of which are verified for GPS. I have a bunch of pools here. So everything is really designed to be workable for whatever organization you have. Now your positions. So your positions are usually job titles, aquatics coordinator, lifeguard, MOD, that would be used for the staff scheduling and timekeeping. So basically anything where somebody would have a different hourly pay rate, you can set up in here. Now, before we get too much into scheduling and availabilities, these can be used independently. So if you use the time clock, you don't have to use scheduling. If you use scheduling, you don't have to use time clock. They do talk to each other a little bit, but they're not dependent on each other. Scheduling and availabilities. You can basically control who has access to their availabilities. You can create favorite shifts, which I'll kind of show you more in the actual staff scheduling module itself. The time clock, you've got a ton of options here. So you can use the GPS module if you want. So people clocking in with their cell phones or on Wi-Fi on a tablet, you can have them use the GPS. You can require that they have a shift to clock in. There's a lot of other kind of controls and stuff around the time clock. So if you round, to the nearest 5 minutes or the closest, or round up, round down, you can control all of those, and it'll automatically generate all of your reports for you for whatever payroll system you use. You can also use the time clock portal. So basically that means that people don't have to use their email and password every single time they want to clock in and clock out. They punch in their user ID and then it says, "Hey Josh, are you clocking in at Carmody Rec Center as a lifeguard? Check in." And then, conversely on the clock out, "Hey, are you clocking out?" "Yep, confirm." So it's very easy to do that. Now, chemical records, you can set up alerts. So you can say, if I want to get a text or an email alert if the chlorine is less than 1.0 for this specific pool. Same thing for total chlorine, pH, pool temps. You've got tons of alerts that are going to keep you in the loop as things just kind of happen around your facility. Our chemical records are totally customizable. So if you want to record filter pressure, flow rates, whatever, you can customize the form to your liking. We also do automatic pool chemistry recommendations. So you can put in how many gallons of water are in each of your pools and choose which chemicals you use. So, I use sodium bicarb to increase alkalinity. So you can keep track of all of the chemicals you use across your facilities, and then if anything is outside of the ideal range as defined by CPO, we'll actually say, hey, there's something wrong here, but in order to correct this problem, you need to do X. Certifications. You can track any type of certification in DigiQuatics. So if you use Red Cross, Ellis, whatever provider that you have, you can track your staff certifications in DigiQuatics. So you just set up what we call the certification types, so CPR, AED, lifeguard, oxygen, WSI, and then for each employee, you can just upload their cert cards, you can put in the expiration date, and we'll take care of a ton of stuff for you. Slide inspections module is basically a checklist, which I'll come back to in a second. Checklists, so daily checklists, weekly checklists, you can set all these up in DigiQuatics. Basically, what most people use them for is opening, midday, closing checklists, cleaning, taking inventory. You can basically set these up to be whatever you want. So, as many checklists as you want with whatever tasks you can set up. Patron Counts. So Patron Counts is another module that allows you to keep track of how many people are in different zones in your facility. Again, these are customizable, so if you want to record open swim times or lap swim or attendance for your groups or aqua aerobics, you can add all of those in there. And then private lessons tracking. So basically patrons can sign up for a private lesson in DigiQuatics without having to create an account or anything, and then you can have your instructors sign up for those lessons, you can assign them. Basically just keeping track of private lessons is super easy. So that's kind of like the back end of how a lot of these things are set up. Now I'm going to start kind of running through each of these modules. So employee availability. So this is specifically for staff scheduling. All of your employees can go in and say, I'm available for these times of the day, or all day. They can enter in these effective dates, so like they can do summer all at once. And then of course as an admin, you have admin access to be able to do, availabilities for anybody. You can edit these, you can print it to a PDF and keep track of course, all of your employees across multiple locations. So under Josh is kind of like where my stuff hangs out. So just so you know what their schedule looks like or their availability calendar, they can go in there and say, hey, I'm available all day, for this specific date range. So they can just create their availability calendar there. The other part of keeping track of, your staff schedules is time off requests. So employees can submit time off requests. Now the difference between availabilities and time off requests is that time off requests require approval by an admin. And most of the time what these are used for is like a one-off thing. So like a dentist appointment, doctor's appointment, or vacation. So if I'm an employee, I could go to my time off requests. I can go ahead and create one. So I can also see my history here. So I can see, oh, this one was approved. So there's no, need to worry about who said what and when, and keeping track of all that communication path. It's already taken care of. So I created a time off request. This is now pending. If I'm a manager, I can get a notification about this. But now when I hop back over to my dashboard, I can see I've got some time off request pending approval. So here we go. I can see, Josh from DigiQuatics wants the 9th off for vacation. Go ahead and approve it. Alrighty. So availabilities, time off requests, those both feed into the staff schedule. So as far as staff scheduling goes, there's softwares that are just scheduling themselves, and that's all that they do. So, the basic gist here is we've got a couple different modes for creating your schedule. You could do it, a daily schedule. You can look at a weekly schedule. So you can kind of see here on a timeline, of this is what Friday, March 9th looks like. You could also, look at things from a weekly standpoint if that's, more of what you're used to. You could also look at monthly. And so basically the two different modes we have is employee mode, which is, each employee has their own row here. So what this is good for is seeing, how many hours they're working this week. So what's nice about this is it'll automatically calculate how many hours they're working, as you build this schedule. So I just created a 2-hour shift for Danielle. Now it says 2 out of 40 hours. you can customize each employee's weekly hour limit, and then it will alert you if you're trying to go over. So you can build the entire schedule, you see their availability, you see their time off requests. And this is the one that I just submitted and approved here. So I've got this vacation request in here. Now on the flip side, what a lot of people like to do is create like an empty schedule and then go in and fill it with employees. So I could say I have 5 people that need to work from 9 a.m. to noon. I can go ahead and repeat and duplicate this shift. So, let's do like Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 4 weeks, and then I have 5 guards. I can go ahead and create those. So this is a lifeguard shift. I can go ahead and create those. This is kind of an empty template, and then I can just go through and see who's available to work and assign shifts to them. So I can see, DigiQuatics user already has a shift from 9 to 10:30 that day. DigiQuatics admin is available all day. It automatically keeps track of how many hours they're working, again, right here. So it's the same information, just kind of shown in a different format. So you can build your schedule, you can publish it, you can even notify employees. This is a kind of newer update. You can even notify them by email, and it shows them their schedule that you just published. So you can send out those automatically. You don't even have to say, hey, we've got some shifts that are, assigned to you guys. Go ahead and check your schedule. There's also some other tools for copying, week to week. You can import them using our importer, print to a PDF, whatever you want to do. We also have what we call favorite shifts. So like if you have specific times that are, the same every week, 5 a.m. to noon or 10 a.m. to 1 or something, you can create your favorite shifts and then quickly pick those when you're creating your schedule. You might have noticed here that we have also what are called open shifts. So an open shift is a shift that staff can just sign up for, and then you just pick who you want to actually take that shift. But that whole process is taken care of for you. I'm going to go ahead and publish this one shift, but that's an aquatics coordinator shift that's open. So I know there's a lot of stuff here. I don't want to spend too much time into it, but at the end of the day, scheduling is a very complex thing. So of course, once you publish the schedule, it's going to start changing, right? People say, I can't work this shift, or, I've got a concert to go to or something like that. And so basically what staff can do is they can just request a sub for their shift, and then, other staff can go in and accept that sub request is what we call that one. And then it has to go to the manager for approval. Now, I think what you'll like about this is that as you're doing your schedule and sub requests are flying around, you're going to see how many hours each person is working. So, 15-hour shift, this employee is going from 16 to 31 hours. Now, you'll notice here I've got an alert that says there's a conflict here. This person is already scheduled to work, and they're exceeding their 8 max weekly hours. So that setting you set for DigiQuatics admin, they're going over that 8 hours. And they've already got a conflict here. So you might need to say, hey, we can't do this, and find somebody else. So it's really easy to keep track of all of that stuff. And then the whole virtual paper trail is all here. So you can see exactly, which sub request happened and when. There's no question about that. Now, also what we have for the open shifts is staff can go in and see, which shifts need coverage. They can sign up for them. And then you will be able to go in as an admin and then pick, all right, Winterfell Rec Center, this shift, I want to approve Josh from DigiQuatics to work this shift. So now, all of a sudden, the schedule is automatically updated. So it's really easy to keep track of, all of the scheduling and shift changes and everything in DigiQuatics. There's a bunch of other reporting capabilities here, so you can export all of the stuff in DigiQuatics to Excel and do whatever you want with it. So it'll keep track of, how much is this week going to cost us in terms of labor hours. It's very easy to see that using these queries here once you assign the hourly rates to your employees. So time clock. Basically, the way that the time clock works is that staff can just clock in and clock out from the dashboard. So as an employee, I could log in, click clock in, it's going to acquire my GPS coordinates and figure out where I'm at. And then it's telling me I'm not scheduled for any shifts today and that this entry is going to be flagged. So I can still clock in The address that I have set for Winterfell Rec Center is not where I'm currently at, so it's saying that this is going to be flagged, by the way, but you can go ahead and clock in. Your manager is just going to see that there. So sorry, maybe they forgot to clock in earlier. Clock in. It's very simple, and then I can just go ahead and clock out. Once I'm done, it automatically does all of your coordinates again, and then tells you how much time you've worked. So it's a simple punch in and punch out system with a ton of additional features for rounding and everything that you need for payroll. So that's kind of how the time clock works. Now, I'm going to jump into pool logs or chemical records. So for each of my rec centers, I have, several pools at each of those rec centers. So I can see my entire history of chemical logs that have been submitted. Now, you might notice that the saturation index is automatically calculated for me. So because all of the information that's required was submitted to this log, it automatically told me that my chemistry is balanced, which if you're a pool operator, you'll know is very helpful. You don't have to go and manually, look at a cheat sheet or a index card that kind of shows you how to calculate this number. It's automatically done for you. So again, the form for submitting chemical records is totally customizable. So we of course have the default fields for chlorine, total chlorine, pH, alkalinity, and so on. But then you can customize it yourself for whatever other numbers you want to keep track of at your pool. There's also communication and record keeping kind of built in here. So if you had to adjust your chemistry, you can actually put in a comment here, added bicarb, for example. So you can put that in here, and then this record that you did that is going to be here and timestamped. You'll also notice that this chemical record said Josh from DigiQuatics submitted this on the 23rd at 10:48 a.m. So as far as accountability, this is what accountability is. Is like your staff can't fudge when they put in chemical records. So, knowing that they're being time-stamped and everything is tracked, it's very easy to make sure that things are getting done when they're supposed to be done. What's also really helpful from a risk management perspective is what we call audit history. So all of the logs in DigiQuatics have an audit history associated with them. What I mean by that is that if a staff member were to go in and change a value, it'll actually log that and tell me. So this record was created on July 11th, and then someone, admin DigiQuatics, went in and changed the alkalinity to 50 on December 11th at 1:46 p.m. So the entire history of everything that's ever been done is all available across the different modules in DigiQuatics. Now, another thing that's really cool is, so I told you earlier in the settings about the automatic dosage calculations. So because this one has an alkalinity of 50, ideal being 80 to 100 for a pool, it tells me here to increase alkalinity by 10 parts per million, add 1.31 pounds of sodium carbonate. That's because I've set up this pool for these chemicals. And of course, as a pool operator, we never do big jumps, and so this tells you incrementally, to kind of get back where you're supposed to be. Here's our recommendation as to what you need to do to fix that. So that is how you submit. You can submit chemical logs from a phone or a tablet or anything. There's a quick link on the dashboard. Since you do a lot of them every day, you just add chemical record, fill out the form, admin only, timestamp. You can save it or save and submit another chemical log. With this, we have tons of built-in analytics. So like you can see your highs and lows and your averages. All the analytics are already pre-built in. And then of course your data is your data. So you can export this to Excel, you can store it on your server, you can print it out. Whatever you want to do, you can have access to your data at any point in time in DigiQuatics. Shift reports is the next module. So shift reports is basically a great way to just have communication with your staff. So they can go in here and select which facility they're working at and say, hey, we had a save today. They can file an incident or accident report, and then they can even upload these to the shift report and get them right to you. Even if they're working at another facility, you can have access to those reports that they've filled out. So JPEGs, PDFs, whatever you want them to use, they can attach to the shift reports here as well. This is all searchable too, so you can really easily kind of see what's happened over time, in your shift report history, and then you can just close these out if they're no longer relevant, but of course we keep them on hand. Employee management. So employee management, a couple highlights here is that you're really able to keep track of a lot of information about your employees. Some highlights that most people like to see is like emergency contact info, your addresses, your contact info for mailing, and just reaching out to staff, which I'll show you about in messaging. Suit sizing and uniform sizing information, you can store all that here, and then we just have one page where you can see, all right, I need 10 mediums, 12 larges. It's really easy to just keep track of all of that stuff. Visible on schedule, max weekly hours, couple admin things you can take care of here. You can give employees individual access to the different modules. So if they're not a private lesson instructor, you can just turn that off for them. And same goes for several other modules as well. You can also keep track of files and notes. So anything that you don't want your employees to see, like if you had to write them up for something, you can put notes in here. You can upload PDF files or JPEGs or documents if you need to store anything. You can keep track of all that stuff in one place. Messaging. So messaging, basically you can do email and or text messages to all of your employees or some of them. So if I wanted to send out an email to all employees, that's very easy. If I wanted to just send it to Robert and Brittany, you can do that. So this actually sends to their email inbox and then actually shows you a history of all the messages that you've ever sent out. So you can actually see, hey, I sent you guys a message saying a reminder for in-service training on Friday. And then, depending on what the message is, you can use email or text to kind of make sure that they receive it. So the open rate for text messages is crazy. It's like 97% of people open text messages within 1 minute of receiving them. So, if you have an urgent issue for some reason, you can definitely send out text messages from DigiQuatics. We also have these pre-built groups. So like if you want to say, just send a text to all employees at Winterfell Rec Center or all head guards at Winterfell or something like that, it's really easy just to kind of send messages and communicate with the people you need to. So here's that history. You can send emojis, you can do whatever you want, but a lot of these are test messages, but you can see it shows who they were sent to and at what date and time. So that is messaging. Digi storage is basically like Google Drive or Dropbox for DigiQuatics specifically. So you can upload whatever files you want, like MSDS sheets or employee handbooks. You can just upload all those things to DigiQuatics, and then your staff can access them from wherever they need to. Certification tracking. So this is where you actually see the status of all of the certifications in DigiQuatics. So as I mentioned earlier, oxygen or lifeguard or whatever you want to set these up as, you just configure those. If you want to filter, here's all of my CPR certifications. You can even look at, by date range. So look at all expired certifications. Here's your expired certs. Expiring in 0 to 90 days. Who's, up for doing a certification class. Expiring in 90 plus days. So here's all my current people. Again, with multiple facilities, it's very easy to see, by rec center, by location, or even all locations. You can find their certification cards. You can even attach the file, the JPEG or PDF, and then it's accessible right here. So it's very easy to import and export these as well. So there's a spreadsheet that you can use to import those, and then you can export them to Excel if you want to do that as well. The nice thing about certifications is that we keep you and your employees in the loop at all times with these. So on the first of every month, we send you a summary email with a list of here's all the staff that's expiring in the next 90 days. So you can make sure you get a class organized for them. We also send the emails to the staff themselves. So 90 days, 60, 30, 0 days out from expiring, they're going to get an email saying, hey, your lifeguard certification is going to expire soon. So you make sure that nobody lapses and then you don't have holes in your schedule. So that's how you keep track of the staff certifications. Maintenance issues. So maintenance issues is like a mini work order system. And even if you already have an established maintenance work order system at your city or something like that, a lot of people still use our maintenance issue system in DigiQuatics because historically, when I was helping manage the pool, it was like this type of stuff was in a sticky note or a text message. Hey, we need more reagent, we need more bicarb, something like that. With DigiQuatics, they just simply create a maintenance issue. They can specify its urgency, which will send out notifications to the managers if need be. But then you can go in here and you've got one place to keep track of this stuff. So, need reagent 0001. Then as an admin, I can go here and say, added to the chemicals box. I can say, what was done to resolve this, and then close this issue out. It'll automatically send a message back to Josh since he submitted this issue, telling him, what was done to resolve the issue, and then it's taken care of. So it's a simple system, but it really helps with just keeping track of these little things that need to be fixed around the facility. You could also use that system to then, convert that information into your more formal maintenance work order system if it's something that requires a higher level of, care. Slide inspections. So slide inspection checklists, you can basically go through. We've taken a list of slide inspection items that would allow you to do a very comprehensive rundown of your water slides. So if these are required, in terms of your risk management procedures, you can definitely set these guys up. So, dry slide inspection, tower and support foundations, your staff can go through here and just make sure everything's good. They can put notes here, and if anything is checked as not okay, what's nice is that it'll actually create a maintenance issue for you and send you a notification. So it's really easy to keep track of those. If you do these daily, weekly, monthly, it doesn't matter. You can keep track of your entire log of slide inspection history as well. So if anything ever happens from like a legal standpoint, you've got all these here and they're backed up, safe and sound, so you can reference them. Again, they're date and time stamped, of course, as to who submitted them. So daily checklists. I'm going to look at a couple checklists here. So like the opening checklist, you've again got your history. It's similar to the slide inspections, but you can have your staff go in and add a checklist for each day. So I'm going to start with a bathroom checklist. So they can go in and check off, hey, I did 9 a.m., we need toilet paper, just as an example. And then these notes are going to show up. So then as a manager, I can go in and see the status on my dashboard of the bathroom checklist, anytime throughout the day. So it's really easy to see here. Once the staff starts these checklists here, it'll actually say what the percentage of them is. So I'm going to do another one here, like the opening checklist: hose the deck and squeegee the windows. Took care of this. Now when I jump back over to my dashboard, I can see it's now 67% complete. So again, dashboard, very quick and easy to see. All right, my opening tasks is 67% complete. I could go in here and see, what still needs to be done. And then, the next staff member can, check off the next item. And then what's great about this is it actually shows you who did what and at what time. So Winterfell, opening checklist, I can see, who completed which task and at what date and in what time. Patron counts. So patron counts, again, we have the different zones. So you can easily see how many people did I have, during the summer, or how many people did I have, on a daily basis for all of my different zones. So let me see if I can get some better data here. And basically what we're looking for is opportunities for improving our program offerings. So what are the times of day when we're dead, when there's nobody here and we could maybe do a class or something, or maybe we're understaffed at certain times of the day historically. You can really easily kind of see this trend, over different daily time periods, weekly time periods, And a lot of times, at the end of the summer or, different seasons, you want to know how many people did I have? How are we doing in terms of our program offerings and how many people are showing up? So you can see here, how many people did we have for lap swim each week? How many for open swim, birthday parties? These are all the zones that you can customize, and then your staff just puts in the numbers very easily. So again, mins, maxes, averages for all your different zones you can keep track of with Patron Counts. If you do these like on a daily basis or weekly basis, you can import them. So, if you have like a manager that goes in and enters them all, at once for the previous day, we have a couple importer tools that'll help you just quickly, put in the entire sheet. When I was on the stand, I was doing tally sheets, and so, it took a ton of time at the end of the month to go in and try and put those into a spreadsheet just to try and figure out what our numbers were. And this automatically takes care of all of that for you. Private lessons. So private lessons is basically an online portal, and you have a unique URL that you can give to your patrons. So, we don't handle payments currently, but really what we found is the problem lies more in just the communication aspect. So when they go to your link, they don't have to create an account or anything. Basically, they just see this form. So because I'm signed in, I see the navigation bar up at the top. But they'll see, this form. They can fill in their contact information. You can customize your skill levels, so whatever you define those to be based on your lesson provider, or if you've made your own, you can customize those. They can choose their location for their lesson, any special accommodations or requests they can put in there, and then their generic availability as to which days and which times they are available to do those lessons. You can also do lesson packages, so although we don't do payments, you can at least get a good idea of what they're looking for. So if you offer, groups of 3 or 5 lessons, they can choose that, and then they just pay when they come to the rec center via RecTrack or whatever system you currently have. So private lessons, your instructors can get email notifications once a private lesson request is submitted, and then they can simply go in here and see, who they are, what type of lesson they're looking for. Like when I was at WSI, I was really into teaching kids that were like swim team, levels. So starts and turns, that type of thing. So, I would look in here and see, this is going to be a really good fit for me. I think I'll go ahead and claim this lesson. So you can take those. If you're an admin, you can assign them to instructors, and of course everybody's notified along the way. But you've got their contact information here. You can schedule the lesson, keep track of their progress, how many packages or how many lessons they've done out of their package, and everything all in one place. Another thing that's new to DigiQuatics and currently in beta is household and member management. And so this is meant for a lot of organizations who don't have a system currently in place for this. And so basically what you can do is add, households. So you've got a member, different, member types. So, are they adult? Are they the primary on the account, etc. So you can keep track of all of those, and then basically what we're hoping to do here in the next couple months is actually do like check-ins. So you could actually have, if you're a swim club, you put in all your households. Of course, you can import them with the spreadsheet, and then when they show up, they'll actually be able to just check in, and then you can see how many, which members, how many times are they coming to the pool, and with what days and times. There's a ton of opportunities with that in terms of like doing barcodes and all kinds of other fancy stuff. But that's kind of what's up on deck next, is improving household and member management. So those are currently in beta. Again, I mentioned that we're very much integrated with the community. And so we're constantly doing, beta trials on new modules and new features before we release them, and really ironing out the details of how they work to be the most usable. You will find, if you talk to anybody who uses DigiQuatics, that they will say that the system is very user-friendly and easy to use, even for non-tech savvy people. And that's because we spend so much time, going to people's offices and watching them use the software so we can learn how to make it, more user-friendly. Where are they getting hung up? So that's something we're really committed to as a company, is making something that's very simple and user-friendly for everyone, whether they're 15-year-old or 65, and this is their new retirement gig, teaching lessons. Couple other things coming soon with DigiQuatics in general is group lessons is actually in development. It's going to be part of the household and member management. So of course you have to have, household and members to be able to track, students' progress and everything in group lessons. So that one's coming up soon. We're also going to have in-service tracking. We've got a ton of new modules coming up before summertime. So if you ever want to check out our product roadmap on our website, there is a link down in the resources to our product roadmap. So this is public information as to what we're working on right now. We're also working on custom forms. So group lessons, those are the two big things in development right now, as well as a couple other things like keeping track of in-service, some more robust patron count analytics, some more notifications for a few different things. So if you're curious, what we're up to, if you're kind of following, if you're looking for auto scheduling and scheduling, just to be upfront and honest with you, we don't have it yet. It's very complex, but we are doing that in 2018, hopefully before summertime. So if you just want to check back and kind of see where things are at, and they're, if we're ready for your aquatics operation, you're more than welcome to look at this whenever you'd like and see kind of where things are at with Digi. So that's kind of the quick rundown of the DigiQuatics software. And there's a lot of things that I could go into a lot more detail on, but we'd be happy to kind of walk you through a demo of your organization specifically and set you up with a free trial as well. You can check out DigiQuatics. We'll help you import your staff and set up your checklists and everything for you, complimentary, so you can really see how this is going to work for your organization. It's March right now, so I know things are crunch time for summer. But what most people say is, yeah, the setup takes a little bit, but it's actually very easy. We've got tools and we can do a lot of it for you. So if you have like an employee spreadsheet, we can import that for you. If you have your checklist in a PDF or something that you've been checking off, on a whiteboard or like a laminated sheet, we can help import that for you. So it's very quick and easy to get onboarded. It only takes a couple days of back and forth with getting all the data set up. The employee onboarding is very quick. They have videos that they can watch, but for the most part, everything is all like an onboarding sequence, so they're just walked through exactly what they need to do. Hey, here's how to submit your availability. Hey, here's how to submit a time off request. So it's very easy to get up and running. If you're kind of looking in terms of like, well, what's my budget looking like? You can absolutely request a quote. So one of the big questions is, how much does DigiQuatics cost? Well, the short answer is it depends, because every organization is different. You guys have different numbers of employees, different numbers of locations and pools, and different modules are needed for every organization. So your pool is of course unique. We're going to customize a plan that's fair for you. So it's incredibly affordable. On the low end, it's $1 per employee per month or so, but we actually just customize exactly what you need. If you don't need member management because you have RecTrack, no problem. So check out the pricing page. You can just request your free custom quote. We'll set up a time to go over it with you and answer any questions that you have about DigiQuatics and how we can work with your organization. If you have any other questions, you're more than welcome to hop on our website and send us a message, give us a call. Our contact information is on here, but we'd be happy to kind of show you around and tell you, who we're working with and what we've been able to do with a ton of other aquatics operations. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this demo, but I really appreciate you taking the time. I know this is kind of a long demo for software, but it's a huge software platform. So thank you very much for taking the time today. I look forward to hearing from you either in our chat or on the phone, or if you're able to request a quote and see how we can help you manage pools, not paper. Thanks, and have a great day.